Hi, and welcome back to the show. We today interview Lawrence Wong, the CEO of Latrobe Limited, a company that he created some 20 years ago out of nothing. He started importing milk from Australia and today has got a factory processing foods and is quickly growing in the FMCG sector. He is passionate about what he does, is today also the president of the Mauritius Cycling Federation, something that he loves to do, and also the president of Made in Maurice, which is the label on manufacturing in Mauritius, which is very valid today in the times of confinement. Let's listen what drives him, especially in these days of crisis. Lawrence, thank you for joining us today. It's a real pleasure to have you here.
It's my pleasure also and an honor for me.
So, Lawrence, you've been a CEO of Latrobe Limited that you created yourself for the past 19 years now. And you started with milk, if I'm not mistaken. And then now you distribute quite a few other FMCG products. First thing is, this is a time where people are trying to stay home and are scared of going out, but you have had to serve the population and go to the supermarkets despite all the confinement, all the issues. How are you managing that anxiety of your staff who would initially be scared of going out?
Yes, at the start, I have to say we had a lot of anxiety, but as a leader, you cannot really show the anxiety to your staff. You actually need to reassure them. We reassure them in two ways. Of course, morally by being compassionate with everyone, and then we also reassure them by taking all the sanitary precautions. And then you need to update them and you need to tell the truth to your staff, and you need to have an open door policy where everyone will come and tell you their apprehensions for the day, and we try to overcome those apprehensions together.
So you're talking about increase in communication, you're talking about managing the anxiety through compassion. So that must be taking more of your time in terms of leading people, because you're not just leading a business, but now you're much more on the people side of things. Is that correct?
Well, sometimes it's good for a leader to go back on the battlefield. And sometimes in life, you also have no choice going back to the battlefield. And to be frank, for me, it did me some real good to be back on the battlefield. And I also got the opportunity to learn a lot more about my team members, to spend more time with them from every level, and from helpers, from drivers and my sales team, spent a lot more time with them. So it was a good time for us to be together. And one of our values at Latrobe is togetherness. So it forms part of a game,
So you talked about open door policy, you talked about togetherness, compassion. Here's the other side of the business, which is actually leading the operations. And how are you balancing the two?
Well, as a CEO, you always need to try to find the right balance on where you're going to spend your time, your limited time that all of us has. In normal times, you would spend your time with each stakeholder of the business. And for the first 3 weeks of the confinement, it was just with my team and with the authorities, trying to get our work access permits and trying to see how supermarkets will be reopening. And my time was divided between those two.
So today, things have been better. You have got more time in terms of actually managing your team and managing the operations. How do you see things going forward? Do you see that you have learned something that you'd like to keep going forward?
Oh, yes, definitely. This was a great accelerator of learning for all of us here. And since last week, we've started planning the new normal for us. I think we're going into a world where there will be more disruptions, but Latrobe, in our values, we've always been aggressive. We've always been positive also. So I think we need to tackle this new future by looking at the opportunities mostly.
You have been in a business where not necessarily it has been impacted financially, it has been impacted operationally for sure, yet you would still have some difficulties in terms of planning for the future. Are you fearful of the future? Because right now there's been a big boom in the FMCG sector for obvious reasons, but you could expect a downside and FMCG is usually the one that is hit the most. How do you see things?
Yeah, one of the main qualities we've kept at Latrobe, even if we've grown a lot, is our capacity to adapt. We are very agile as a company. We've always been very agile. We've kept that startup mindset since the start. So my team is quite ready for disruptions. Financially, I think we need to plan a bit more disruptions in the supply chain. Maybe we'll probably have to keep more stock, longer stock terms, and going downwards towards our customers. We need to see how we can grow together, how we can build businesses together also.
So you're still thinking about building businesses, and you're still thinking about growing right now, which is quite interesting. But you talked about agility, and what's interesting is that you're 20 years down the line that you have started off your business, and you are still being able to keep that spirit of the entrepreneurship and keep that spirit of a startup. How do you do that? How do you get your people to still have that drive?
Well, we've always been very lean as a business. I've always taught my team how to quick fire. When we started Latrobe, I always say in French terms, we started Latrobe with une bougie et deux bouts de ficelle, and we had no firepower whatsoever, but it doesn't really matter. Maybe you don't have financial power, but you have other kind of things that you can build within your business, and we've kept this in our values since the start.
Right, and obviously you are a success story in Mauritius as a whole, from really starting from scratch, as you said, and moving up. In the future, financial power would be necessary, but as you said, you need much more than that. What are your personal qualities that you feel has helped for you to be able to grow over time?
Well, of course, I think I'm an entrepreneur, and that's what I always wanted to do. I've always done it with passion, and this passion, I think I transmitted to my team as well.
You are obviously very passionate about this business. Starting something from scratch is not easy. Your passion has not just translated into your business. You have translated this passion in what you love. You love cycling, and you are today the president of the Cycling Federation of the country. I'd like to know a bit more about this passion of yours and what drives this and what drives you as a person.
Well, when you do something, I'm passionate about it. When I start doing something, I try to do the best what we can do, and we've always worked hard here. It's the same thing. You apply the same principles.
So, Lawrence, very important is for you in these times, and I see you as a very calm person. How do you do that? How do you keep calm during these times?
Well, of course, I try to keep calm as much as I can, but my secret weapon would be meditation. I usually wake up, for the past 10 years, I've been waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I do stretching, I do exercise in the morning, I watch the news, and now I wake up a bit earlier than 5 because I try to put half an hour meditation in my morning routine. So my alarm goes off at 4:30 every morning. It helps me clears my mind, and having a clear mind is really helping me taking proper decisions right now.
Thank you. And last question is, with the change that you're seeing going forward, what skills do you think that leaders will require?
Well, one of the most critical aspects of a leader will have to be their mental clarity, so they take proper decisions, right decisions, clear decisions. So yeah, I think leaders will have to learn how to clear their minds first, and of course manage teams closely, be compassionate. So a lot of pressure will be on leaders.
Well, thank you. Obviously, your degree of calm and your degree that you do of sports will certainly help you in keeping that level of clarity. Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, Lawrence, for being on the channel. It's been a real pleasure talking to you, and all the best for the future.
Thanks, Roshan, and all the best to everyone as well.
So I think, like me, most of you must have really noticed the calm with which Lawrence Wong speaks, despite the crisis, despite leading not just one business, but various other things. This calm is something which he believes is what helps him keep clarity and make the right decisions today. Until the next show and to see how other leaders are managing this crisis, keep safe.